What's going on, guys? Black Scout Survival, Late Night Live, Friday Night Live. And so I wasn't going to do a lot tonight, but because of this breaking news, I wanted to go ahead and touch on this. Some of you guys may have not have heard, but federal, state, local law enforcement agencies in New York are reportedly preparing for the possibility that former President Donald Trump will be criminally charged as early as next week. He's being investigated by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in connection with hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels by his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. He faces multiple other criminal probes, including 2 related efforts to overturn the 2020 election loss to President Joe Biden. So they're throwing that in there as well. And so he would actually be the first former president to be criminally charged by a grand jury in the history of the United States, and the first former president face criminal charges. When a person is indicted, they're essentially giving a formal notice that it is believed that they committed a crime. And I just want to show a few different news, Fox, a few different media companies, and just kind of show you, one, the story, and B, show the differing painting of the narratives, and just kind of want to give my opinion on some of these. We'll start off with Fox News here.
Fox News source saying from the former President Donald Trump that a possible Trump indictment could come next week sometime. This is all coming as the Manhattan DA's office has asked for a meeting with law enforcement ahead of a Trump indictment. Fox News has learned from a court source the meeting, which was requested yesterday, has not been set yet to discuss logistics for sometime next week, which would mean that they're anticipating an indictment sometime next week. The same source who is familiar with the planning said that they will go over security preparations in and around the court.
So you notice that the weird thing is this is Fox, and they're playing January 6th stuff, and this, it doesn't really have anything to do with it. Very, very odd in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on that.
Courthouse at 100 Center Street in Lower Manhattan there. Secret Service will be in charge and override all other law enforcement agencies, while the NYPD will take care of security out on the street, and New York State court officers will take care of security inside the courthouse. We have never had a president, the source says, but pointing out that they have handled many other high-profile defense.
Someone I saw in the comments said, lame title, dude. They literally talk about putting him in handcuffs and fingerprinting him just like they would anybody who's being charged. So he will, it's arrested, but they're not using these terms, this terminology, obviously, because he's the former president.
Defendants will handle it as we handle everything there. So quite the unprecedented moment here of just even talking about a former president and the possibility of being indicted. Secret Service will take the lead in what they will allow or will not allow, the source caution, mentioning, for instance, the decision to handcuff or not the president. They will set the tone and will escort him into the courtroom. There will be coordination between all of us, but we'll defer to the Secret Service. The battle will be between Secret Service and the district attorney there. They will decide how and when he'll get into the building, and they are not going to leave him. The source believes the former president will still have to be fingerprinted and processed like every other defendant. Outside, the source anticipates some street closures there, though, that they haven't had any discussions about protest outside so far either. So this story just coming down right now and continuing to be talked about there, according to that Fox News court source. But we will continue to wait for more developments there, and throughout the day here on Live Now from Fox, we'll be getting some insight from others in the legal field on the ramifications of a former president, on the possibility of getting indicted there. This all coming just as Michael Cohen, his once trusted lawyer, testified before a grand jury in their probe of hush money to the former porn star. So this is all coming to a head, and we will wait and see what happens next week. We got you covered, as always, right here on Live Now from Fox.
The best.
So that was Fox. Again, they were showing all kinds of January 6th, and they didn't mention that, but I thought that was odd coming from them. And we'll show some others here. Law enforcement preparing for possible Trump indictment.
Law enforcement agencies are now preparing for prosecutors here in New York to potentially indict former President Donald Trump.
It could happen as early as next week or not. This is all connected to that alleged hush money payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. And this preparation that's being made is now, according to 5 senior officials.
The thing is, how long ago was this? Like, it's like they're throwing stuff to the wall to see what's going to stick at this point.
Familiar with the matter. Let's get right to NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett. Laura, it's a big deal that they're making preparations. It doesn't mean the president will necessarily be indicted, but the fact that all these agencies are talking to each other about it, what does that say?
That's right. I think the best way to think about it is they are preparing for every possible serious case scenario here. The discussions are underway on multiple levels: state, local, federal. You've got Homeland Security, you've got NYPD. Given the fact that the potential defendant is the former president, there's obviously a lot of contingency planning that needs to take place. And they're specifically looking at what would happen at the courthouse here in Manhattan, making sure that they can secure the area.
Why? So they can secure the area because they want to make it seem like that something's going to happen. If you look at this right here, this tweet, President Biden is reportedly preparing law enforcement across the nation to expect widespread lawlessness and violence as he intends to arrest President Trump as early as next week, the action one step removed from martial law. Law enforcement agencies are preparing for a possible Trump indictment as early as next week. So that's coming from NBC News. But, you know, the thing is that they're already painting the narrative for the potential that something's going to happen, that there's going to be like a January 6th Part 2, or there's going to be militias in the streets. I just think it's a huge setup. Yeah, Wang's a tribe member of ours, and yeah, there was it's funny, the same day we have Putin get an arrest warrant by the ICC. So it's funny this happens on the same day, right?
Secure the building, keep everyone safe, keep the president safe, former president safe, if in fact he wasn't indicted. And also, of course, the line prosecutors here, given the former president's following, they're trying to make sure that they have planned for every possible scenario. Knowing that these discussions are taking place is interesting just because it has reached that high of a level, and knowing the timing could be as early as next week.
It could be imminent. Okay, what about the logistics, Laura, of actually putting a former president on trial? How would that work? What specifically, if you know, are law enforcement agents worried about? Are they worried about public reaction?
We are far from there. We have no idea what the possible charges are. We have no idea if, in fact, he will face possible charges. So I think we want to be careful to not put the cart before the horse here. Of course, we have never seen anything like that. It would be truly unprecedented. What I can say is a lot of this may play under wraps for a while. If, in fact, an indictment is returned by the grand jury, it will be filed under seal. We will not see it. We will not see the charges until, in fact, a judge unseals it, makes it public, and then we'll know about it. So I just want to be careful because a lot of this is going to be playing out behind the scenes for quite some time.
Thanks for watching.
So someone asked, how can hush money be illegal? It can be considered obstruction of justice, just FYI. And that's probably what they're probably trying to go for. They're going for everything they can, right? Now this one is pretty spicy. I want you to check this out. MSNBC, which they're very much haters of Donald Trump, and just kind of listen to her. Now I feel like the last one they were pretty even keel. Fox kind of disturbed me a little bit, and now listen to MSNBC, and you'll hear the spiciness in her statement.
We may be one step closer to a first ever indictment of a former president in a
She sounds so excited. We're first one step closer, like something good's happening.
criminal case. The Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into the Stormy Daniels hush money case appears
Yeah, one step closer to the criminal case, she says.
to be entering its final stages. This afternoon, former Trump loyalist Michael Cohen finished his second day of testifying before a grand jury investigating the case.
Do I think that it's wrapping up? It appears to be so. I'm probably the last witness that they need. I did not receive any additional subpoenas or documents requesting me to come back. So, yeah, I'm pretty safe to say that I'm done.
Cohen testified for about 2 hours. He said he was questioned directly by several of the grand jurors, and he added this.
This isn't a question of vindication. It's not a question, as I stated before, about revenge. My position is that at the end of the day, Donald Trump needs to be held accountable for his dirty deeds, if in fact that's the way that the facts play out.
Manhattan prosecutors also held a Zoom meeting today with Stormy Daniels herself. Her lawyer tweeted that Stormy responded to questions and has agreed to make herself available as a witness if needed. We're also following, I'm telling you, I certainly am, the latest turmoil involving banks and the financial markets. Today, shares of the Swiss bank Credit Suisse plummeted, setting off fears across the globe.
I didn't watch this part, but this is good, right? Banks are going down still yet, by the way. They've not been talking about it much in the media, but banks are dropping like flies.
All the way to Wall Street. It came after Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank failed here in the U.S. The Swiss central bank stepped in to say it was ready to support Credit Suisse. And tonight, in the last couple of hours, Credit Suisse announced it will be borrowing up to $54 billion from the national bank.
So, yeah, that wasn't part of the video, but that was interesting. So the law enforcement agencies involve security talks, New York police, Secret Service, obviously, because that's who provides personal protection for Donald Trump and his family, the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, So they'll probably have some folks out there on the streets with some MAGA hats on and some AR-15s or something, New York State court officers also. So, I foresee some false flags going on, just like on January 6th. You see guys with MAGA hats on and they got the earpiece in, so you'll see the FBI agents rolling around. So the other thing is that also came out today is that they're still pushing the Trump classified documents probe. The DOJ is actually questioning Trump's attorneys. Hadn't heard anything about Joe Biden and his documents, but we're still talking about Donald Trump's stuff.
And we have some breaking news right now. A federal judge has ruled that a lawyer for former President Donald Trump must provide additional testimony before a federal grand jury that's investigating Trump's handling of classified documents. Sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. Our Catherine Falders is here with more. Catherine, what can you tell us about this?
So, Terry, we don't have the details of this ruling. Important to note that all of this is happening under seal. So we're getting this information from sources, given that this has to do with grand jury proceedings. But this is significant in the sense that this is a lawyer for Trump who has been representing Trump in the classified documents probe. Now, DOJ.
And time and time again, they keep going after not only him, but any of his people, anyone who works with him. They go after them as well.
Has subpoenaed this lawyer, and they wanted him, Evan Corcoran, to speak.
So let me just kind of elaborate on that. This is like a great tactic to use because it basically puts you on an island. They do this a lot of times, like you've seen this happen with Kanye West. It's actually happened with Andrew Tate. You see anyone who opposes the regime, they start attacking anyone around them. Like they arrested Andrew Tate's his assistants and things like that, his personal security, who is a former female police officer. And then they put pressure on them, right? They did the same thing with Kanye West, putting pressure on people around them. So they winds up, making you like you're on an island. you're in solitude. You're by yourself. No one else wants to work with you and or be around you because they're afraid of the ramifications that could come from that. And this is a tactic that they use, to basically separate you from any kind of support system.
Before the grand jury. Now, what happened is Corcoran went into the grand jury, our sources told us, and essentially claimed attorney-client privilege. He wouldn't answer their questions.
And like what they did with us during the beginning of the pandemic, they separated all of us. You couldn't go anywhere, couldn't be around people, and you're alone. So what do? You can only feed off of what you're told at that point, right?
So DOJ then asked the judge to pierce that attorney-client privilege, which is a really high bar. And how they did this was under what they called the crime fraud exception. And that is really important here because this indicates that the judge thought that there was enough evidence of this so-called crime fraud exception to pierce attorney-client privilege, meaning that legal services could have potentially been rendered by Corcoran in the commission of a crime. So a significant ruling ordering Corcoran to appear before the grand jury again and actually answer their questions. But at the same time, this isn't like we're going to see him walk through the door tomorrow or next week. It's likely that the Trump folks.
And again, we have Biden, even Pence had some documents, but you don't hear their attorneys being called before a grand jury. You actually don't even hear anything. It's only Donald Trump.
Folks, at least that what we're hearing from sources close to Trump, it's likely that the Trump team will attempt to stay this pending appeal. So they're likely to appeal it.
That was very well put, Catherine. Thank you for that. And I'll just follow up if I may. Yeah, obviously the crime fraud exception says that if the attorney-client privilege is shielding what might be a crime, it doesn't hold. So what this does is really, as you say, advance the investigation. Now investigators can hear from the lawyer.
So yes, someone said Pence is a traitor. He absolutely is. He's a joke. So like I said, we have the Biden crime family, Hunter Biden laptop, these sort of things, incriminating evidence that the DOJ helped cover up, that had criminal evidence on the laptop, and DOJ covered it up in the media, even so much so as I felt it from my video being struck down, talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. And so, but we have all this focus on Donald Trump. We have, they have a committee going against the Bidens right now because of them accepting money from the CCP. And you see right here, new Biden family member named by the House Oversight Committee. Let me get this out of the way. James Comer of Kentucky revealed subpoena bank records show she received $35,000 from $1 million Chinese energy deal in 2017. She's the widow of Beau Biden, grandchildren. She also had a relationship with Hunter. How does that sound? You die from cancer, and then your brother, who's a crackhead, starts dating your wife. Terrible, huh? So we have money laundering, taking cash from the CCP, documents. We have all these things, and nothing's happening. And the DOJ is actually working. They're biased. All these federal agencies are biased for Democrat, liberal, progressive movements, as well as working with the Biden admin, because Joe Biden's just a puppet. Let's be honest, right? He doesn't write any of his own stuff. Those aren't his tweets. He's barely can read off the teleprompter what they've written him. He's not even a good actor. Zelensky's a much better actor. But anyway, to me, in my opinion, it's very odd, or it should be to the viewer out there that was watching. It should be very odd to you how they continuously and relentlessly go after Donald Trump since even 2015. It's been nonstop. Weaponizing government agencies against political opponents because he has declared his presidency or his run for presidency. And so now the Biden admin or Democrats are weaponizing government agencies against their political opponent. And that goes against the fabric of America and our Constitution. It's definitely a sad day in our country. The thing is that, there's a lot of things I dislike about Donald Trump. I dislike that he slept with Stormy Daniels. He cheated on his wife with a porn star. I dislike that. I dislike his, banning bump stocks, his view on the Second Amendment, talking about red flag laws. I don't like him pushing the vaccine and a lot of things. There's a lot of things I dislike. There's a lot of things I do like. I voted for him multiple times. But the thing is this, is that what you can admit is that the fact of the matter is that there's no one that I've seen in my time on this planet that has been attacked so relentlessly. They literally, I'd watch him give a speech and they will change his words after the fact to cultivate the narrative. And then people will just, the layman will believe it. So to me, he is a massive threat to the globalists, the elite overlord lizard people, whoever's running the country or world that's trying to push a new world, whatever it is. He's definitely a threat to them, because there's no one that has been attacked this much, right? So I think that should tell you something. But I wanted to bring you this tonight, just because I know some of you guys are working, you're on the road, you're driving trucks, you're keeping America together, and you may not have had the time to watch the news. And I wanted to get this out to you, and I wanted to show you a lot about just the different way the same story was told, right? Depending on who told it. And I think it's important for us to always ensure that we're looking at these things to make sure, even if it's coming from Fox News, we have to make sure of what we're, digesting and balance it off everything else. But we'll see coming next week. I mean, they're not going to spread this to the media if they're not planning to do it, right? And who knows, maybe they're going to push some kind of Civil War false flag narrative. Who knows? I think that most Americans are waking up that our society is literally collapsing in front of our eyes. And this is not something that just has happened in the past 2 years. This has been going on for 30 or 40 years. A lot of us just didn't know what was happening until now. But I think a lot of the country's waking up, to be honest with you. More and more I see people in the comments that said they were Democrat, they were liberals. And yeah, they converted, right? They see the hypocrisy. They see the things being pushed on them, being pushed on their children in schools, right? Drag queen story time, all these sort of things. Thanks, Mike. And that's why I think a lot of people are waking up. They see the hypocrisy, the nonsense. And anyhow, I do appreciate you guys hanging on me. I know it's Friday night. You probably hang out with your family, or you're working. And if you are working, hope you have a good shift. Whatever you're doing, if you're working somewhere, driving across the country in a 18-wheeler or something like that, good luck. Stay safe. And stay safe at work wherever you're at. And as always, guys, I appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Please go drop a comment after the fact. Let me know your thoughts on these things. It's always good to hear from you. And always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, and stay dangerous. Have a good weekend. Take